Good morning. This morning I read Joshua 22, and there's a verse towards the end that really caught my eye. And it says, well, so it's the context of the people of Israel got their land. Now, Gad, uh, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh go back over to where they wanted to stay, which is east of the Jordan River. And they build an altar, or what looks like an altar there, in order to be a monument so that they remember in future years that they're all one people. The other people, the people of Israel, took it the wrong way. They thought they thought that they were going to start offering sacrifices there, so they come out to wage war against them. Um, but the whole thing's appeased because they explain it's just a monument. um, so this is what then Phineas says in summing all this up. He says, "Today we know that the Lord is in our midst because you have not committed this breach of faith against the Lord. Now you have delivered the people of Israel from the hand of the Lord." I thought that was interesting on many levels. They were afraid that the wrath of God was going to be upon them because they had built this altar when they weren't supposed to. So in their fear that the wrath of God was going to be upon them, they came out as a people to fight against them, right? So the way Phineas frames this, and we don't know if this is the way that God wanted them to frame it or not. This is what happened, not necessarily what should have happened, right? But he says, "Today we know that the Lord is in our midst, because you have not committed this breach of faith against the Lord. Now you have delivered the people of Israel from the hand of the Lord." Now let's take it as this is like he's saying something true. He's saying it right. Let's take it that way, because that's oftentimes how we do think of these things. Like I hear a lot of unbelievers frame the gospel as God, in order to appease His own wrath, sent Jesus to die for our sins, to appease His wrath so that we can be loved by Him, or something like that, right? The wrath of God does burn against our sin. So we do need to trust in Jesus' grace in order to be forgiven of His wrath, God's wrath. But even then, it's Jesus who died for us. We don't appease God by doing something to appease Him. We rest in what Jesus did for us, and so at face value, this is saying the same kind of thing. It's because the Lord is in our midst, that His wrath is not against us. Jesus came, and he came in our midst, and He died for our sin, so that the wrath of God doesn't fall upon us. There's another level here. It says, "Today we know that the Lord is in our midst because you have not committed this breach of faith against us." So not only like that, I went to the place where, like, if we did commit a breach of faith, and we all have, right? So Jesus died for us because of that. But Phineas, in his mind, is saying, we know that the Lord is with us because you didn't sin. Like, it was all a misunderstanding, right? Because you didn't sin, we know that the Lord is in our midst, and therefore the wrath of God won't fall on us. It's really not so much about salvation, and I mean, it's a different kind of salvation. Not salvation from the sins that we've committed, but salvation from the sins we could have committed. You see the difference there? Like, they're speaking not as unbelievers in need of salvation. They're speaking as believers and recognizing each other's salvation. Believers who are saved from the sins they could have committed. Like, as believers, we should not be content to continue to live in the sins that we previously committed as unbelievers. Not to say, certainly not saying unbelievers are worse sinners. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're all sinners. But as believers, as we begin to follow God, we should say, I don't want to sin like that anymore. And we can know that the Lord is in our midst by the way that we begin to walk with Him, uh, the way that He keeps us from sins that we previously committed. Um, Now, in saying that, sometimes we can look at somebody and say, "Well, you're still walking in sin. You must not know the Lord." Um, Maybe they came from a really hard past, and I mean, we see a snapshot of their life, and um, if we looked 5 years ago, it would have looked even worse, right? We can know a tree by its fruits, but we got to compare that fruit with the fruit it used to produce, not our subjective view of what their fruit should be, right? As we walk, all I'm saying is, as we walk with God, our lives will show it, because we're beginning to um, produce fruit in our lives, fruit of the Spirit, the fruit that only the Spirit can produce in our lives, because the Lord is in our midst, right? Are you walking in a way that shows that the Lord is in your midst? Am I? You know, I hope so. And certainly, not in a boastful way, not in a look I'm doing it kind of way, but as I rest in Jesus' grace, I see more and more how He's transforming me, so that I'm not who I once was. And I still mess up, and I still need to rest in His grace. Um, but I can definitely tell that the Lord is in my midst. It's all due to His grace, His goodness, appeasing His own wrath, because I can't do it without Him. I still mess up. But by His grace, because of His love, He doesn't leave me, and He doesn't leave you either. So trust in His grace, walk in Him, and know that He's in your midst. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow.